my 7 everyday spices that I use. And welcome, I'm Varsha. I'm just going to show you how I use these 7 everyday spices to make this really simple potato and vegetable. I'll call it a side dish. You could have it as a main, have some protein on the side, or protein as the main, but let me just show you how I make simple dish using 7 everyday spices. So I've got some chopped up potatoes, and then for extras it's really straightforward. I had some frozen veggies. So I've got sweet corn, peas, I did a bit of extra protein, some edamame beans, I've got sliced peppers, and I had a quarter of a, kind of like doing a fridge raid really, quarter of a red onion in the fridge. I've got my oil in here, so it is a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. I'm now going to add to this half a teaspoon of mustard seeds. Now mustard seeds, I'm going to pop the lid on, and then you can see that when you've added them to, my oil's just coming up to temperature now, so they're starting to pop. And when they start to pop, that's when their oils and their flavours are released. So they're just beginning to pop. There you go, can you hear that? Okay. And next what I'm going to do, so mustard seeds, one of the spices in my tin. Then I'm going to be adding in a teaspoon of these, and they are cumin seeds. And as they're added, you can see that they're really as the oil is hot, they're starting to sizzle. And again, as they're sizzling, they are beginning to release their oils. Very important at this stage as well. I have lowered the temperature, and also I don't want to burn the spices. Do not burn your spices. Very important. That's why I didn't add them to hot oil. Now I'm going to add my potatoes. So it was about 400 grams or so of potatoes. Now I'm going to mix. You can do this with cooked potatoes as well. I've just chopped mine up really finely into cubes. So small cubes. I'm coating now all the potatoes into the seeds. And so, yeah, you can also do this with sweet potato. You can do it with the mix. I've got some red potatoes here. You could do it with the baby potatoes. Yeah, any kind of variety of potatoes. I've chopped them up. Okay, now I'm going to add in my spices from my tin. So ground coriander. Ground coriander gives a beautiful floral flavour. So that is for flavour. So I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of ground coriander. I've already added cumin seeds, but I've got some ground cumin as well. So I don't need to add too much of that. So that is half a teaspoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add all the dried spices. I'm not using any fresh garlic or ginger in this recipe. It's a really simple one. And then I will mix it all together. Turmeric is a half a teaspoon and I've got an extra strength one, so I'm not adding too much to that as well. And the next thing is I'm not adding any green chilli. So my heat from this dish is coming from my red chilli. So that is almost a teaspoon. I don't want to make it too hot either. Now the next one is salt, a teaspoon of a good quality salt, and add that, and that will be really lovely as it will bring out the flavour of all the spices. Let me set my tin aside, and then holding on gently, I'm just going to coat the potatoes. And again, you don't want the temperature to be high because I don't want it all sticking to the pan either. So let's mix all these up. And what I'm going to do now is to add a splash of water. And then they can start cooking. Like I said, I've used raw potatoes. If you want to get it done really quickly, you can just add cooked potatoes as well. So I have got, let me just use my teaspoon, add a couple of teaspoons, because I don't want to add too much. It is a bit of a dry dish. There you go. And that will just steam it as well. Like so, there you go. And that also is really good because it will just, we don't want it to stick to because we don't want any of the spices to burn either. Let me just pop the lid on. Now, this is a really simple dish. I've added majority of my spices, the mustard seeds, cumin seeds, ground coriander, ground cumin, turmeric and chili powder. And what I've got left as a 7th spice is garam masala, and I'll add that at the end. Now, as that's just gently cooking, I'll just let it cook for another minute or so. And in order to just add some, you can have these potatoes just as they are like this. You don't need to add anything else, but I just want to add some extra veggies to it. So I've got some, and they're all frozen peas, just a cupful, frozen sweet corn, and some edamame beans as well. So let me add them to it now. So it's just edamame. I love frozen veggies. They come in handy at times when you haven't got many fresh vegetables left. And so frozen peas, and sweet corn and peas. There you go. I have still got peppers, so I've got little peppers here, green and red, and look at the abundance of colours we've got here as well. It's really lovely. I'm not going to add them just yet. They're there to give a bit of crunch. I have also got red onions, which I had a piece of red onion left, so I will add that to add some crunch towards the end. And then to add extra flavour, I'm going to add a squeeze of lime juice. So mix this all in. In there, so it's a lovely dry dish, and you can then have it alongside, with some chicken, some lamb. If you've got dal, have it with your dal. Okay, there you go. Give it all a good stir, so all those spices are coated in there. So what did I do here? I heat the oil. Once I heat the oil, as the oil was coming to the heat, I added a teaspoon of mustard seeds. They popped and released their oils. Then I went in to add the cumin seeds, and then they sizzled, keeping the oil not too high. You don't want to burn the seeds at all. Then added my potatoes. And next thing, going in with the ground spices that give the flavour. So we've got ground coriander, not so much of the ground cumin I added, so that gives earthy flavours, and turmeric and chili powder. Now, if you don't want to make it as spicy, leave or just put a little bit of chili powder. Here I've also got some Kashmiri chili powder. If you don't like it to be so spicy, get yourself some Kashmiri chili powder. Alternatively, you can't, just add less chili powder, and that's fine. If you like it really chili, or spicy is what I mean, then add more chili powder. Okay. There you go. So that's all cooking. It's lovely. The potatoes are small anyway, so they don't really take that long to cook. They take about 10 to 15 minutes or so to cook. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add everything in just to show you, and then I'll just allow it to cook afterwards. Okay, adding my peppers. So they will go quite nice and soft gently, and then chopped up red onions. Mix them in, so you've got lots of different, not just colours, but lots of different texture in here as well. Mixing that through. We've got all the flavours of the spices, and now I'm going to finish off with some, you could do lemon, or I'm just going to add some lime. Oops, squeeze the lime in. And then finally finish this off with half a teaspoon of garam masala. I shall switch it off. There we go. Once that's in, sprinkle in garam masala. I haven't got any coriander. I would otherwise be putting on some coriander as well. Mix that through. And that's it. Really lovely, simple potato dish with veggies where I've used all my 7 everyday spices. So I have a Skool community, and they're over on Skool called the Indian Cooking Club. If you want to learn how to cook beautiful Indian dishes, come over to the Indian Cooking Club. The link is in the bio. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.